Hi and welcome to another video. I just wanted to clear something up before we start, and that is my rationale behind choosing to install a Ryzen 5 4500 CPU on an objectively good B550M motherboard. In my opinion, the B550M series is a really good fit for Ryzen 5 5600 and up because it supports PCIe 4.0 speeds, and I just think that it's just such a good match with that CPU and the 5700X, etc. Here's the main reason. This 4500 was $60 Canadian, and I think it's a really great pairing with an RX 6600. I'll be honest, I was affected by the recent Canada Post strike, so I'm just building with whatever I have in stock. This will provide a really good budget build and a solid upgrade path for somebody who's just getting into PCs or who just wants to get up and going. So that's pretty much it. Let's get into the video. So today's custom budget PC is fitted into this Deepcool CC560 V2 PC case that I got a pretty good deal on. I've built into this PC case a few times now, and I've always liked how it offers some really good cooling up front with the two grills, and it comes preloaded with 4 static LED lights and sometimes RGB lights. In this case we have green. So there's 3 120mm air intake fans and 1 120mm air exhaust fan. And there's lots of room up here for an AIO if that's what you want to install. And on the top I/O we have USB 3.0, USB 2.0, a microphone and headphone combo jack, a big reset button, and a power button. I think I'll take the glass side panel off so we can deal with less glare. Underneath the Thermalright Assassin Spirit V2 CPU cooler, there is the aforementioned Ryzen 5 4500 CPU with 6 cores and 12 threads. Next to that is 16GB of Timetec Pinnacle Konduit DDR4 3600MHz RAM. This would be a Sapphire Pulse Radeon RX 6600 GPU with 8GB of GDDR6 memory. And it's all packed onto that AsRock B550M Pro SC motherboard. I got a pretty good deal on a couple of these, and I really actually am impressed with what they have to offer. Compared to the cheaper versions of this board, we have some RGB and ARGB headers, 2 extra slots of RAM, and another M.2 port for an NVMe SSD. Speaking of which, Windows 11 Pro is installed onto a Timetec MS09 512GB NVMe solid state drive, running at speeds of PCIe 3x4. And powering it all is this EVGA 500W power supply. Oh, also there's a 500GB Seagate hard drive installed just for some extra storage space. Onto the rear I/O of the motherboard, we have an HDMI and DisplayPort that we can't use with the 4500 because there's no integrated graphics. Mouse and keyboard PS2 port, 2x USB 2.0, 4x USB 3.2 Gen 1. And what's interesting is that this has a 2.5GB Dragon LAN RJ45 Ethernet port. I guess Dragon's just the branding. But still, that's kind of cool to have the extra speed. And there's the usual audio jacks. And the RX 6600 has 1x HDMI 2.1 and 3x DisplayPort 1.4a. Now for some performance tests, let's check out the video render and video encoding tests with DaVinci Resolve and Handbrake. First up, I have DaVinci Resolve 19 loaded up with my usual 11 minutes of raw 1080p footage, these settings in the render queue, and let's see how long this one takes. 3 minutes and 26 seconds. So that's not too bad, and it's only 26 seconds longer than the last test with the budget option of the Ryzen 5 5500. And the last time we tested out an RX 6600 was with a i5-10400F, and in that case it was actually 27 seconds more. So that's a win for this really budget Ryzen 5 4500. Next up is Handbrake with 11 minutes of 1080p gaming footage loaded up. As usual, the Creator 1080p 60 preset has been selected, and we're again just looking at raw CPU power. See how long this one takes. 3 minutes and 31 seconds. So that's 21 seconds longer than the Ryzen 5 5500. And that's actually 1 minute and 9 seconds faster than the i5-10400F. I'll consider that another win for the Ryzen 5 4500. And it's interesting to know that you can get that kind of performance out of a very budget CPU. Now it's time to test out the RX 6600. Let's go. 56 seconds. That's only 2 seconds slower than the RTX 3060 Ti and 9 seconds faster than the system with the 10400F. I also remembered that we had slightly slower RAM, so maybe that made the difference. I'm very far from an expert in encoding and rendering, so if you have any tips to share, definitely leave that in the comment. And right before we head into the gaming tests, I just want to point out that I did activate Resizable bar in the BIOS. I did set the RAM speeds to 3600 MHz using the XMP profile. I was actually really impressed with the performance of this CPU and GPU combo. I really think it's got some bang for the buck. So as always, thanks a lot for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're using a similar setup, let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, I hope you have a great day.